My guest today went from hating running to completing ultra marathons, so I figured maybe I could have a change of heart as well. Okay, if Matt can do it, so can I. It's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. Matt Frazier is the founder of the virally popular blog No Meat Athlete, which he founded in 2009 at about the same time he went vegetarian. He's also the author of the book No Meat Athlete, Run on Plants and Discover Your Fittest, Fastest, Happiest Self. So with all this personal expertise in endurance sports and the experience of many a vegan athlete to grace his blog and podcast, I thought Matt would be the perfect person to ask how to eat vegan for endurance. Well, thank you, Matt, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here on the channel and share a little bit of your journey with us.
Sure, it's a pleasure, Emily. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you're a vegan and you're an endurance athlete. Could you talk a little bit about kind of how you got here, when and how you went vegan, and a little bit about your athletic history?
Yes, absolutely. So this all the move, at least the dietary journey for me, began about 6 years ago when I didn't even know what vegan was, but I ethically felt this urge to become vegetarian. That happened to be near the end of another journey I was on, which was the journey to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I had not been a runner. I hated it as a kid, but then kind of picked it up on a whim in college with some friends. We just kind of competitively said, "Hey, let's go. We can do a marathon. Let's do it." And tried. It didn't go too terribly well. It took me almost 5 hours. But I got really hooked on the idea of qualifying for Boston because that was my initial goal. And I missed it by 100 minutes in that first marathon because it took a 3 hour and 10 minute marathon to get into Boston. But I became I just thought I have to do this. So I started working on it, spent 6 years, like I said, doing that. And right around the time when I kind of plateaued and started to think that this might not happen, I was 10 minutes away from getting to Boston. And at that point, 10 minutes seemed like an eternity to me because I'd taken off so much time and felt like I was kind of at the peak of my potential. So I said, I think I might not get there. I'm just going to eat the way that I think I should be eating as far as ethics go and how I feel right about eating. And I didn't expect much at all. I thought it might make the training difficult. But it turned out that it worked really, really well. And within 6 months of making that dietary change, just to vegetarian, not yet vegan, I took the last 10 minutes off my marathon and qualified for Boston. So that's kind of where it began. Then I had started my blog, No Meat Athlete, right when I went vegetarian to kind of document the experiment, really, and just kind of write about how it was. But in the process, a lot of people got into it, and I met a lot of people who were already doing this sort of thing, they're already vegan athletes I didn't even really know about. So as I started to learn more about what they were doing and be exposed more to the ethical side of why go vegan and not just vegetarian, I gradually made that transition. And then about 4 years ago, said no more dairy, and that was really it. So since then, I've gotten into ultra running and done a couple 50-milers and a 100-miler. And more recently, I've kind of gone back towards marathon training, and I'm thinking about trying to run a fast marathon again.
All right, that is incredibly impressive. I'm always in awe of people who run because it's something I have never been able to physically accomplish.
Yeah, it's not that hard. I mean, I hated it too. I was awful at it, and you put in the time, put in the training at a really slow pace. You're comfortable most of the time. That's a huge key. Don't be uncomfortable.
Oh, well, then I did it wrong.
Maybe.
Can you speak a little bit about how to eat vegan for endurance training specifically? Is there, a particular type of food that you eat or times that you eat when you're just trying to train for endurance, whether it's, running or other sports? Because I know that you've interviewed a wide array of different athletes. So I guess just kind of speak to eating for endurance of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, so there are a lot of ways to do it. Even within vegan, there are people who are fruitarian, and I don't know if you or the audience knows about them, but they eat entirely raw fruits and vegetables, 80-10-10 diet, so it's 80% carbohydrate, 10% protein, 10% fat, very, very low in those other macronutrients. And some of those people do extremely well in endurance sports, including 100 miles. Then there are, I mean, you see paleo type athletes who are eating much higher protein, much higher fat. You see them doing well in sports too. So I really like within vegan even, I think you can do a lot of different things. The traditional way to train for endurance sports or to eat for endurance sports, and it works perfectly well for vegan, which is one reason why you do see a lot of vegan endurance athletes, is to get about 65% of your calories from carbohydrate, something like 12 to 15% from protein, and then the rest from fat. So it's really not that different from, if you open up a vegan cookbook just off the shelf of a bookstore and look at the recipes, they're probably pretty well suited. They probably fit those ratios pretty closely because a little bit lower in protein than maybe a typical American diet, somewhat lower in fat usually, and high in carbohydrate. The key, of course, is to make sure those carbohydrates are quality carbohydrates. And it's okay to have some simple, like it's good to have some sugars in there, particularly fruits, whole fruits. Around workouts is a great time to even get the simpler, more processed sugars. Like immediately after a workout is when I'll drink some fruit juice or even something like a white rice or something starchy because you want that carbohydrate to get immediately into your bloodstream, help you recover from the workout. So it's a lot of carbohydrates, but really nothing that out of the ordinary from what I think most vegans eat. So like a typical meal in my house would be some kind of pasta dish, maybe with regular whole wheat pasta, maybe with quinoa pasta. Usually some kind of beans in the sauce, maybe a pesto. Recently, I've stopped eating oil, but until recently, that was typical. Just have some oil in there. Smoothie, salads. Like I found, and really this I think was the key. I don't think it was the reason I got faster when I first went vegetarian. I don't think it was that I eliminated the animal products from my diet. I think it was more that I was totally ignoring fruits and vegetables. Like, because I had known the carbohydrate, protein, fat ratios, and I made sure that I hit those because I was really careful about nutrition. But I was leaving the vegetables and the fruits and like these living foods off the plate. I was eating chicken breasts and brown rice, and that was like it most times. So once I brought in all these fresh, this whole fruits and vegetables, all the different micronutrients in those, I think that made the real difference. So I make sure to keep that stuff really high in my diet, even though it's hard to measure that. Like you don't see that when you look at nutrition facts. You don't see all that stuff, but it's really important. I think it's crucial for recovery. So that's a big part of my diet.
So I know you spoke a little bit at the beginning about how your times changed drastically when you were, training for a marathon. Do you have any specific time? Okay, here was my time before I dropped meat, and then maybe here's my time after I dropped even dairy, or was it kind of more of just like a general feel that you had when you changed your diet through your training?
So I was at like a 3:20 marathon before I went vegetarian, and I felt that was kind of the best I could do. I didn't have a lot of hope for getting faster. Certainly I still hoped that I could, thought optimistically maybe I could, but when I went vegetarian, it was 6 months between those two marathons, that 3:20 and my 3:10 marathon that got me into Boston. So that 10-minute difference at that point, when you've kind of already reached that close to what is sort of your potential, is a pretty dramatic difference. And I think one of the big reasons, besides those, or as a result maybe of all those micronutrients, is that I think it let me recover faster. So if you talk to any pro-vegan athlete or elite vegan athlete who chooses this diet because of what it does for the performance reasons, they will say they do it because it's the recovery. They say they can recover faster and as a result get more workouts in a given week than the competition can. Well, for me, someone who's not competitive but more just kind of recreational, competing against my own times, a 3:10 marathon is going to be an hour slower than the people who are winning marathons. So it's not like an elite time. So for me, I think faster recovery, like I'm not trying to get in 8 workouts in a week, right? I'm still going to get the same 4 or 5 or whatever workouts I'm not in per week. But now when I come back for a workout, I'm in better shape to do that workout than I would be otherwise. And what that means is less injuries. Because if you're showing up for the workout when you're not fully recovered, then you're kind of asking for injury as that lack of recovery accumulates workout after workout. Soon enough, your body's going to break down and something's going to go wrong. So that's been the major thing for me is since I've started eating this way, particularly since I've started eating vegan, I've had almost no injuries whatsoever. When I tried to do 2 marathons within 3 months before, I would get injured. But when I did my 100-miler a couple summers ago, I had to do The 100 miler, of course, was the final thing. But a month before that, I had to do a 50 mile. And a couple weeks before that, I had to do a 30 mile. So like that amount of running would have been unthinkable for me before. A large part of that has to do with the diet.
So for people who want to find out more about what you're doing and the information that you can provide, can you tell us, where to find you?
Sure. Yeah, pretty much everything I have is at nomeatathlete.com. I also have a book that's available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble called No Meat Athlete. I'm at No Meat Athlete on Twitter and No Meat Athlete on Facebook. And we have a bunch of running groups around the country and even some around the world. So if you go to nomeatathlete.com/groups, you'll see a listing of all the groups that we have, and a good number of those groups are active and do a run every single week. So in your area, you might be able to find some people who eat like you do and like running as well. So check it out.
All right. Again, I just want to thank you so much for your time and for the advocacy that you do with showing what's possible on plants.
Sure. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Matt on eating vegan for endurance. This video was sponsored in part by Chronometer, where you can track your fitness and nutrition to ensure optimal athletic performance, whether busting out ultramarathons like Matt or lifting heavy. Use the link in the video description or right there to make your own free profile. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Matt's advice and expertise. Are you an avid runner or are you a disaster like myself? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this meat-free nugget, give this video a big thumbs up and share it around to show what plant power can accomplish. If you're new here, do hit that big red subscribe button down there for more awesome vegan content every Monday, Wednesday, and some Fridays, and not to miss out on the rest of the Vegan Athlete series. If you want to help support Bite Size Vegan, check out either of the support links in the video description below, or click the Nugget Army icon there or the link in the sidebar. Now go live vegan, run safely, and I'll see you soon.